Good morning. It is Friday morning, and Friday morning, here we are, closing out our thing on parables in the next day or two. And today we're going to read from Luke 12, 15 through 21. Jesus said, "Take care, be on your guard against all covetousness, for one's life does not consist in the abundance of possessions." He told them a parable. The land of a rich man produced plentifully. And he thought to himself, "What shall I do? For I have nowhere to store my crops." He said, "I will do this. I will tear down my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, 'Soul, you have ample goods laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, and be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool, this night your soul will be required of you, and the things that you have prepared, whose will they be? So is the one who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God.'" Someone once said a good sermon title for that passage would be "Build Smaller Barns," but I've never written that sermon. It is a good title, though, isn't it? Eat, drink, and be merry. You've got all your barns full of stuff. If there's ever a parable that points to the American way of life, that is it. Because I will guarantee you that most of you have somewhere in your house closets, the attic, the basement, garage that cars will not fit into. Why? Because they're crammed with all your stuff. They're storing all this stuff that, well, we might need it. We might use it someday. Someday I want to do that. Well, when is someday ever going to come? It's not going to come. I'm not saying that we should be like those Irish peasants in the cottage that we saw where you've got a table, a chair, and a small bed, and that's where 18 people live. I'm saying that we need to let go of some of our stuff, hold on loosely to some of our stuff. It's come up for me rather dramatically. You know, if you remember my usual videos at the church, I've got books all around me, right? And books are furniture. We got books everywhere. And I start looking at all those books and I start thinking, now what am I going to do with all these books? Because a lot of those in my office I inherited from somebody else. A lot of them are in German. A lot of them are topics that they're great for reference now and then if you want to dig out and figure out the German. But yeah, you know, they're not books I really want to keep forever. So if I retire someday in the next few years, what am I going to do with the books that I bring home? There are no shelves here. And what am I going to do with the ones that I don't want? And I've told my kids, you know, you get the books, and they're all like, "Not me, not me." So I got to find somebody who wants all these books. That's my problem. If anybody wants some books, by the way, let me know. I'll ship them to you. But what do we do with all the stuff that we accumulate? That's a real problem, a real issue. Recently, we went through the house and got rid of, I don't know, several hundred CDs that the kids had bought over the years that nobody wanted because they can access all that music and much more over the internet. So why do they need a physical CD? They don't. Still got some physical records and a record player, but it's hardly ever used. And I'm thinking, okay, I got to bite the bullet. It won't hurt me a bit if those things are gone. It's just hard, isn't it? It's hard. But God says, "No, you fool. Tonight your soul will be required of you. So eat, drink, and be merry for the future." That's not going to happen. A lot of the parables are like that. They're parables of grace, and they're parables that seem more of judgment. They're parables that say the time for you to make the decision to obey God is immediate. It's right now. You can't put that decision off. The time to choose who you're going to serve is now. And if we are thinking, well, we'll get around to that someday, someday might not ever come. I can think of 3 people that I know who died kind of suddenly, unexpectedly in their sleep, literally, in one case, in the last few weeks. Just they're here smiling one day, and the next day the family's planning their funeral. So you never know. I'm not trying to scare you or panic you, just say, God is calling you to make a decision. And so it's time to make that choice and make that decision. So think about that today. Think about where your riches are. We haven't even really touched on that topic, but if my riches consist in my possessions, and my possessions just get old and moldy and eventually no one cares about them, I'm not very rich. I'm not as rich as I think I am. We one time went on a family trip to see some relatives, and every place we happened to go, there was a swimming pool in the backyard, built in, concrete in-ground swimming pool. And one of my daughters was very young, and she thought of, if you had a swimming pool in your yard, wow, you were wealthy. And so one night we put her to bed, and she says, everybody we visited is rich. How come we're not rich, Dad? I said, well, I'm the richest person I know, but not because of stuff, but because I've got you guys. And she smiled and said, oh, thank you, and went to bed happy. So in what consists our wealth? Think about that. And have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.